It's that time of the show here on Tahoe today to send it out to our field reporter, Pete Laughlin. Good morning, Pete.
All right, Mike, we want to thank all of our viewers tuning in on Comcast Cable here in Northern California. We're with the Forest Service, CALFIRE, and a number of other agencies here out in Myers, California. It was a little cold this morning, so we thought we'd warm things up. This morning we're with Kyle Jacobson. Kyle, we're looking at some of the slash piles here that we're burning. We were talking earlier, and these slash piles were created two and a half years ago.
Yeah, these piles were thinned about 2.5 years ago. We came in and thinned out all the small trees, the understory, piled it all up. Had to wait 2.5 years for the piles to cure to produce less smoke. And now we're getting out here bright and early in the morning, nice and cold, getting started and lighting these piles up.
All right, so my kids, they come by and they see your crew, using these metal canteens with a mixture of, I guess, kerosene and gasoline. How does it work?
Yeah, so these are drip torches, and they're mixed with diesel fuel and unleaded fuel. You combine it in a set ratio, and what that does is it helps start the pile, and the diesel helps it stick to the wood a little bit until we can get things going, and the piles are burning themselves.
Like we said, these piles were created two and a half years ago. How do you determine when to burn, and what's the process you go through?
We go through quite an extensive process. It all goes back to our environmental planning documents that set forth the parameters for what we're trying to do with these treatments. And in most cases, we're trying to reduce hazardous fuels as well as increase forest health. So depending on what forest type we're burning in and where we are, we'll set sort of environmental weather conditions that we're trying to hit to get the proper environmental effects from all our burns. So these are a pile burn, and a snow condition is a great time to burn piles because it's not going to create a control hazard. When we're near communities, near homes with snow on the ground, it's a lot safer to do that. Sometimes when we're out in the middle of the woods and we want to get more effects on the understory, we'll do it in the fall when there's no snow on the ground to let that fire creep around and have beneficial effects to the forest.
So we're over here on Sawmill Pond Road, and right over to my right is a pretty dense configuration of trees. If you look up behind us, you can see areas that you've already affected. How does this help with prevention of fires?
So what this does is it takes all those fuels that are standing and what we consider horizontal and vertical continuity of the trees, which is what allows a fire to get up into the crown and make crown runs, which can be the very devastating type of fire. We break down that continuity. We remove trees from the middle so the trees aren't touching each other. There aren't ladder fuels to allow the fire to get up into the crown. We bring all those fuels back down to the surface, dispose of those fuels, and then the fire doesn't have that same chance to become a catastrophic wildfire like it would in an unthinned condition.
Right. If you want more information, what's the best resource?
Best resource would be to look at the U.S. Forest Service Lake Tahoe Basin website. You can call the front desk. We're always happy to talk about any of the activities we have going on, smoke concerns, any other issues that you may have with projects going on. I know that California Conservation Corps, our local fire protection districts all have similar services and are all doing similar work, and they'd be more than happy to talk to you about what we're doing.
One of the things we talked about is the reason why you wait a couple of years is it cuts down on the smoke?
It does. If we're burning green fuels or freshly cut fuels, there's still a lot of moisture sitting in those limbs and branches, and that basically turns into nasty smoke that goes straight up. So we wait as long as we can without waiting too long that we have piles on the ground to reduce that smoke impact. We realize that smoke is an impact to the local communities, and we do everything we can to try and reduce that impact.
Kyle, appreciate you taking time to join us this morning. Thank you. All right, Mike, we'll throw it back to you in the South Shore Studios, reporting with CALFIRE and the U.S. Forest Service over on Sawmill Pond Road here in South Lake Tahoe.
Thanks, Pete. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with your 7-day weather forecast here in Lake Tahoe. Stay tuned.